That is really weird. I don't know why it does that. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, and that's it. Okay. All right. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Come on. Hello? Hey, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
How's everything?
good.
That's nice. Today I was wondering, I just got your homework actually, like just a moment ago. Do you want, let's just do, you've been doing a lot of homework, so maybe we'll just go over this today and then not have homework for the week. How's that sound?
Hmm. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. And then I'll probably do the theory more next week or
Okay.
on Thursday. Okay, so like I was reviewing some of these. There are some terms here that I know we didn't cover, relative clause and appositive clauses or
Hmm.
phrases. We'll talk about that on Thursday. Okay, so I guess we'll plow through it. So let's start with number one. I I sent you this, so maybe if you can open that up.
Yeah. C.
This one, let's take a look at this. So this one is a little bit like what we talked about before. So if you took a look at like these two things, so this guy, is this a IC or like is this a dependent?
IC.
Yep. And then what about C? Like when you put in C here,
DC.
it doesn't kind of, well, it doesn't have like this comma. Accordingly, he titled it like this guy is this part, because what we call this is technically a relative clause that you need to put here, which we didn't really talk about. Well, I guess I'll just mention it. It's kind of like that a positive clause. It just kind of modifies, which I think it's this sentence right here. And if you put in like accordingly, if you put in accordingly, uh, it's not one of those things. So
Hmm.
it kind of sounds like it would be, but the answer here would be B. For the
Got.
most part, like you have to use which is like
Hmm.
one of those like words that you have to. We'll cover more of that, but yeah, the reason why is because you cannot use accordingly, and then it can't be D and it can't be A because that would be a comma splice.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, that one's a tricky one. Let's move on to two. I think this one's a little bit easy.
B.
D or B?
B.
Yeah, B or D. This one's kind of
B.
rhetoric. B as in boy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's correct. Because if you take a look at the other page, I guess if you compare like the first sentence to like the second one, this one is saying like to avoid,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is kind of like it kind of initiates like a contrast. So I would think, yeah, it would be however. However is like one of those words that you use for contrasting like the first sentence and the second, the one after it. And if you're using like also, moreover, that's like an addition. And then for C, if you put in C, it's gonna make it not make sense because it's like you could use this to make a dependent one, but if you put also or which one is it? If you put in however and comma, that works. But if you put in although, like although itself kind of is like it does initiate a contrast, but you have to say although something else. You can't just put although and comma. But however, you could do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But however, you can't do that. You need to put something after it and then put in the comma. Okay. What about 3? I kind of renumber these here so it makes sense.
B.
Let's see. So yeah, it would be B. And then why?
Because it's a non-essential, so you can read it without it.
Yep. Yeah. So the thing, let me see. Skiers painted the final section of the mural. The centerpiece at night. The mural and then centerpiece. It's appropriate to pose. This is another one. They call this like an appositive, which is kind of like we kind of touched on that one. It won't be A, and it won't be C or D. Like these are just punctuations that we talked about.
Yeah.
So these ones don't really work, so you can't do that. And if you talk about like A, the centerpiece at night, it sounds incomplete. So it can't be that. So yeah, it has to be B. Okay, let's talk about 4. Another rhetoric. Okay. This one's
No change.
yeah, good. Yeah, it wasn't complicated. It's just rhetoric ones. You have to. So if you look at these other ones, they don't talk about the painting at all. So no painting like allusion. Like it doesn't talk about it. It doesn't allude to it. And then as we talked about before, you have to look at the previous paragraph, and then the sentence. Like transitioning to it, and that's like the first sentence of the second paragraph. So for the most part, you always need a transition, and this is the only, if you put in no change, this is the only one that talks about the painting, the mural. Like the reasoning for what it transitions from this previous sentence. It kind of explains like for the secrecy, the reason for that secrecy kind of goes back to this guy. Okay, what about 5?
D.
Okay, let's look at this one. So 5 says the reason for Securo's secrecy became clear when the mural was confined. And for this one, you said D, right?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, and so the mural was unveiled. Yeah, I think that's the one. Let's take a look at the other ones and why it's not these ones. So confined, it doesn't. It seems like it's not the right word.
Mhm.
Promulgated definitely is not. Doesn't make sense in this case. It's kind of like moving to something forward, and imparted. It doesn't make sense. Like these two doesn't make sense. It could be confined, but it sounds awkward. And then when you talk about secrecy, unveiling secrecy, it's not. That's more like the verb that you would use. So yeah, it is D. All right, 6.
B.
Included.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then why?
It's past tense.
Okay, and then yep. So not this one because this is present, and not this one, right? Because it's not happening in the past. So this is like the
Mhm.
perfect past, and then not A because that's continuous. So that's good. That one's an easy one. All right, 7. Oh yeah. Okay, so this one. I think this one we didn't talk about, but it's pretty common using these pronouns.
Mm-hmm. D.
Yep. Yeah. Good. And why?
Because it like specified what they were associating with.
Yeah. And then so these a or this, it, and them is kind of vague, right? It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
say like what is this, what is them. It doesn't say it specifically. It's kind of like the that dangler. It has that same effect. The pronoun has the same effect as the dangler modifier, where you need to know what you're trying to modify, or like the pronoun has to get associated with the movement. Okay. 8. Okay, so this one is good because it's a combination. These are the other ones when you combine two sentences, two independent clauses. Usually these ones are as I remember, we did this one, and then on the previous, and then there's usually two that seem like it's correct.
B.
B as in boy.
Yep.
Yep, yeah, that's correct. So if you look at these ones, like I guess like when you're combining two sentences, besides being rhetoric, you got to look at like what are important, and then so the two main things here from these two sentences are that the explosion of the mural painting. That's like the main thing, one of them, and then the other one is the Chicana mural movement. So let's take a look at A just to like parse them out. So the result was an explosion. Okay, the Chicano mural movement, and then of. So here, right here, this is already wrong. So that's not right. Uh, Putting the commas there is misplaced. And then let's take a look at this guy. The explosion of the mural painting that spread throughout the California and the southwestern United States in the 1970s was the resulting Chicano mural movement. That spread throughout. It seems like it would work, but it's not really like it's not looking at the main. It has the main point right here, but like this is a sentence, but it's not really. I think it's like the placement of these two things are not right. And so if you look at this guy, an explosion of the mural movement, okay, that's good, resulted, and it spread throughout California and the southwestern United States. And then there's a semicolon. It was the Chicano mural movement. This one sounds awkward. So these two could be right, but this one right here is the correct one. The reasoning why is it it create it specifies the right main points and it has the right grammar. Like if you do, because then the main point here is the result. It tells you exactly what it is. The result was the Chicano mural movement, and then it just has a modifier and a positive modifier, an explosion of mural painting that spread throughout California. So this one makes more sense. It has a good flow, and then it has good grammar. This one, uh, it puts the Chicano mural movement like kind of like at a sub point, not at the main point. But this one, it has it in the beginning. That sometimes it's kind of like that. There's like two things that can make sense, but again, it's you have to place your bet, I guess. And then B sounds like the right one in this case. Okay, number 9.
Um,
Yeah, this one is it's kind of rhetoric, but it's just within the sentence.
C.
Yeah. So this one creates this if you take a look at this previous phrase, it already has on in there, on unused buildings, and then or on infrastructure. So it's kind of like that flow. It's that flow again. You have to take a look at like what or how the phrase is being or established, and then when you use like painted on or it just it breaks that flow. And if you're talking about these other guys, B and D, it doesn't even, they're painted or they were, or let's put that, on unused buildings, or they were painted on infrastructure such as highways and bridges. It doesn't work. This one doesn't work because just that flow again. And then this one, when you delete it, let's see, on unused buildings or infrastructure such as highways and bridges. Like, oh yeah, this other one too is part of it, and many more in abandoned lots, on unused buildings, or infrastructure such as highways and bridges. It doesn't have that in or on. So if you delete that, if all the other ones like this guy or this guy were just more, it didn't have in or on, maybe this one would work, but it does. So that's why you have to use this. So that one's correct. All right, number 10. This one's another rhetoric.
B.
B?
Actually, C.
Okay. Yeah, so this one is a little bit, you have to take a look at like, so the previous sentence, obviously for rhetoric, and then the next sentence. And let's just take a look at what they're talking about. So the first sentence, it's talking about these you know, let's see, you gotta understand. Oh, the high level investment. This high level investment. And then the next one here is talking about the restoration of, talking about the publicizing and restoring. So complete. If you take a look at being clean and restored, and being clean and restored. Let me see. Once again, Secures America's travel is being clean and restored. It does talk about that here, and it does talk about clean. Okay. So again, these ones are a little confusing. You just have to like parse it out. It might be this one. So we'll start that. And what about this guy? At risk of destruction. Once is leading the way. At risk of destruction. It can't be this one because we're talking about in the next sentence. Clean, restore, and repaint them. Yeah, because you're talking about in the previous sentence about cleaning, restoring, and repainting. So it can't be this one because it doesn't really, it's talking about destruction, which is like opposite of restore. So you can't have that. And then D, awaiting its movement of appreciation, which is like totally off. It's not talking about anything about construction. And then let's take a look at, so it may be A or B. Let's just take a look at leading the way. Once again, Secures America's tropical is leading the way. Let's justify if that's correct. So in the previous sentence, it says, fortunately, a new group has discovered the murals. A new group of artists has discovered the murals, and efforts are underway to clean, restore. Okay, so I see now. If you look at this guy, being clean and restored, this is redundant because this is already in the previous sentence. So it has to be something, you can't do that. You can't do redundancy and it's like out of flow. You can't do, you know, like this destruction is not part of the restoration. And then this guy is off topic. And then what was your answer?
I think it was B.
Okay. Yeah, so the B, it does sound it would be related. Sometimes you have to take a look at like if something is redundant. Because they already talked about that, you know, this clean, restore, and repainting. Yeah, it's kind of related to it, but you want to avoid those redundancy. So if you put in leading the way, it's still kind of it's still positive, because it kind of goes back to, you know, a group of artists has discovered the murals. So they're leading the way. You know, they discovered that they're leading the way. And then when you look at this guy, the next sentence, after a lengthy, complex restoration process, this powerful work, which is going back to this guy, is now a tourist attraction, complete with visitor center and a rooftop viewing platform. So if you didn't pick B, it would be A, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that your second choice?
Well, I crossed off A because I thought the America Tropical or whatever was like couldn't like lead something because it was like
I see. I see. Because it's like leading the way would be kind of like a person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, you could argue that one. The thing is, it's more of like, I guess, yeah, it's a metaphor. They're using it like a metaphor, like leading the way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, does this make sense though? Like why you can't do the redundant one? Like
Yeah.
C and D are definitely wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then if something is like redundant, then you can't use it. So therefore, that's why it's A, because
Mm-hmm.
that it's already there. And then Yeah, if you argue that one, I don't know if we're gonna talk about metaphors, but yeah, you could use metaphors in a way.
Okay.
Okay, let's take a look at 11.
D.
Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Again, like these rhetorical ones are weird and kind of difficult. So why not A and B?
Mm. Well, I just like crossed all of them off because I thought that it was the statement itself was like incorrect.
Oh, you mean this one?
Yeah, like yeah.
Okay, let's look at it. When it was painted in 1932, Shigeru's mural was considered offensive, but now it is acclaimed. Yeah, that's what that is. It is incorrect in sense of like the context. Because yeah, so it can't be yes because the context here is wrong. Like provides historical context, which is wrong. Obviously, it provides useful reminder of how people once viewed Shigeru's work. This is also not. I think this was because of the yeah. So yeah, these ones it's not. It doesn't really describe what this is. So that's wrong. But then so it is right. It is one of these guys. It's no for sure. But let's just take a look at D. So let's look at it. D, no, because it makes a claim that Securo's work that is not supported by the passage. It makes a claim about Securo's work that is not supported by the passage. So when it's saying not supported by the passage, like I think this is the reason why it's wrong because this was already said. Like something of this nature was already mentioned before. I think it was in the previous paragraph. This was the initial reaction in the previous paragraph. So it's not this one. Let's just take a look at the last one. So no, because it unnecessarily yes repeats information from earlier in the passage, right? So this is the one. So it's a redundancy. You don't need to say it again. Yeah. So this one's pretty good. This wasn't that bad. Okay, 12. Okay, this is a new one. I think we didn't get this far for most of them, but okay, this is good. We're actually getting almost halfway.
D.
Okay. Yeah, this one's correct. Why not these ones?
It's just unnecessary.
Yeah, it's like a filler. Let's see.
Then A is just wrong.
Yeah, the people who purchased there. So that one's not good, and this one right here are not good because of this parallel thing, parallel contrast between the phrases. And I think the main thing here is organically grown crops and conventionally grown counterparts. So if you delete it, then there it sounds right, and then it's not talking about this purchase thing. So because you're comparing these two guys. Okay, all right, 13.
B.
Yeah, this one's pretty easy. So let's look at it though still. The reason why it's B is it provides the subject consumers. These consumers, uh, which I think now, if you just read it, it's kind of like that incomplete sentence, like because you have this no main, spend. Let's see, in the name of health, spending $1.60 for every dollar they would have spent on food that is grown in a manner that's considered conventional. So it's not that one. Although in the name of health, spending for everybody would have spent that. Okay. Yeah. So this one doesn't introduce. There's no subject here. No subject. This one has a subject. Let's just check the other one. Having spent, no subject. To spend, no subject. It's an infinitive verb. So it's B because it introduced the subject. Okay. 14.
D.
Okay. Why not these ones?
A is just like not concise.
Yeah. There's a lot of words going on here. So not that one. What about B and C?
C is like saying the same thing in two different ways.
Yep. So not that one. And B is kind of similar. It's just talking about B and C are technically like just reinstating something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, shorter is better. So this guy. 15.
B.
B.
Yeah.
You could say like C. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Because this is like kind of like the concluding sentence. So, but then the next thing to take a look at is, like concluding sentences have like therefore, furthermore, right? Therefore or furthermore usually are the words to say. But then the other thing to add to that is it a contrast or is it like an addition? Like does it sum up the entire paragraph or the thing after, does this thing provide like, oh, after all of this, we're gonna argue that it's the opposite. So in this case, when you're reading this guy, um, you need to it's the other way. It's the opposite. So it won't be this guy. Furthermore, it won't be therefore, because they suggest a conclusion that that provides an addition, or it's like a positive conclusion. If you're talking about this guy as well, subsequently, it's not this one because it's not really a concluding word. You don't usually use that. That usually is for like a sequence of things, the procedure. And then so you're left with the however, right? So however is like it's providing a contrast. So it sets up a contrast between the added expense of organic food and then the evidence that suggests a lack of benefits from eating organic food. And then everything else, it doesn't do that because of like those things. So it's C. Okay, 16.
C.
Maintain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one's easy. It's more like knowing what the word usage is. Like if you're gonna use like advocate, if you're advocating something, using preserve is really not the word. Carry on that organic. It's awkward. It's not the right word. Like wording. Sustain that. This is not the right wording. So when you're advocating, the usual word that associated with that is maintaining a position. So although advocates of organic food maintain that organic produce is healthier than, so yeah, maintaining is advocating. Those two things are associated with each other. So it has to be this one. All right, 17.
No change.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. Let's just take a look at the other one. So this is it's a transitioning phrase from before and after. So if you look at however, this means like the next sentence, subsequent sentence is opposite of the previous. But in this case, this is not correct because they're both, the for instance is saying this is an example and it supports the previous. In addition is usually used when like you have already said something, but in this case, it's not really like when you said one example and then the next sentence would be in addition to that example, but you didn't say an example yet. And then likewise, likewise doesn't really it's providing a good like positive contrast, from the previous and then the next sentence. But in this case, this is the next sets of phrases is saying something to support. And when you're saying something to support something or like an example, the best thing to say is for example or for instance. So that's why this is correct. All right, 18.
C.
Yep. Yeah, you're good with these ones. How come A, B, and D? How come not those ones?
Well, the yeses are wrong because it wasn't relevant to the passage or add to its argument.
Yeah, so it's not relevant, and this one doesn't make. I think it's not the right interpretation of this sentence. So, and then D. So it is no. So if you look at the other no, because it introduced a term that has not been defined. And this one is because it's not relevant to the paragraph's discussion. Yeah, so that one, like it has been defined, but it's just not relevant. So it is C. All right, 19. Almost halfway. Or like, yeah. This was an easy one. So where's the subject here? It's more like a subject-verb agreement.
Residue.
Let me see. The minute amounts of residue. Of residue is it's kind of just like an adjective.
The U.S.
It's close. Like the of residue is modifying the which subject?
Minute amounts.
Yeah, that's the one.
So no change.
Yep. Yeah, it's no change. Yeah. So something like this, like when it's saying of residue, if it was just residue, that would be the subject. But it says of residue. That makes it an adjective, a modifier or adjective, whatever. It's a modifier. And then this minute right here is also, or minute. This right here is also an adjective, and then this therefore is the only subject. All the other ones are just modifier. And then like is, once you know that it's plural, so amounts is plural. It's not this guy, and then it's not this one. So you're left with these two. And then what is this? Has had. We're not doing present. I think it was like present perfect. Yeah, present perfect. So we're not doing present perfect. So it has to be this one. So yeah, subject verb agreements. Okay, 20.
C.
See, okay, that's good. How come?
Because it like expands on what they already said like previously and like gives backup evidence.
Yeah, and then so these ones, they don't really talk about, or they don't support. So this is another supporting thing. They don't support the whole paragraph. So this is a concluding one, if you want to put it there. It doesn't support the paragraph's claim about the safety of like non-organic food. So that's why these are wrong, and this is right. Okay, 21. Subject verb agreement again.
B.
B? Yep. How come?
Because the other there is wrong.
Other there, yeah. There are, yeah, that's like possessive there. Okay.
R is plural.
It's not this one, it's not this one. Good. Yeah, it's only that one. This one's an obvious one. Okay, 22.
D.
D? Okay. How come? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I guess like we've talked about this before, right? If you're using these guys, and then like if you look at this, like this no change, it's not a sentence, right? Such as, what is that? So you can't put that in between. And then when you're doing this guy with a colon, if you put in it's preceded by foods such as, that's what? That's a dependent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do that because it has to be independent before a colon. And then what about this one?
That makes like the previous one not a independent clause.
Yeah, it's not really like, it's not the right, because when you're saying food such as, like when you're supposed to say such as blank blank blank, and then the comma is supposed to come before this guy. Like you've seen that before, right?
Mm-hmm.
The comma is supposed to come that, and then when you're saying such as, you can't just put a comma after such as, because that's not a sentence. Yeah, so it has to be a D. Okay. All right, we're almost done. 23.
C.
Okay, how come? Yeah, that's correct. They all have something in common. A, B, and D. What are they? Or what is it? What is it that they have something in common?
They don't like fit like with a goal of her writing. Cause like weird and like insulting and like the
Yep.
rest of them, like
Yep.
over.
Yeah, that's right. It's a mockery. Yeah, it's insulting. Yeah, galvanizing, weird, life altering. Uh, yeah, it's wrong. This one, intriguing, usually is like the word to use. So yeah, you can't use words like that. So um, in essence, because it's already, obviously you want to avoid that. Okay, 24. Oh, okay. I use this sentence structure a lot actually. Okay.
B.
B. B is in boy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at this one. So have you heard of that like phrase like when people argue usually like they want to say like instead of using and like this and that they say not only this and then they say something else. And what do they put in here? Not only this guy, but what do they put in here? But what? But also, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is pretty common. This is equivalent to like saying this and that, because both of these should agree. So not only this, but also this. And the other one is when you're saying and, it's not really like I mean, it's equivalent. I'm just saying it's equivalent. But so when you're saying not only but also, you could definitely change that and put in an and in between. It should make sense. But you have to look for this because these two are always together. So this is in the beginning, right? It says it right here. Not only, right? So not only is present right here, and then so then in your mind you're thinking, where's but also? Because not only but also is always a common phrase that goes together. So not only is here, and then there's an argument, blank, 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 like all the way here, and then you come across this guy. It says it also. So when I say and, like let's just look at this. It can't be it also. So that's already wrong. And it says here and also. You can't do and also. It's either and or but also. So it's not that guy. And then here, but also. So maybe this is the one that's correct. And let's take a look at the. So this is definitely not correct because you don't even have and or but also. So it has to be either and. Oh, either and or not only but also combo. Not and also. So that's why it's C, but also. So yeah, that one I didn't think I talked about that yet. I don't think I did. But those are usually they usually go together, and a lot of people they use that a lot to make their sentences more flavorful. So they'll use like for one sentence as this guy, and then the next sentence can be this guy. Okay, 25.
B.
Which one?
B.
B? Yeah, that one's correct. How come?
So it talked about like setting up the contrast in the sentence and like with the rest of the passage, and then the rest it talks about like the importance of like the traditional stuff that has been done.
Okay. So okay, yeah, that's correct. These ones right here, it just doesn't set up the contrast. Like when you're saying still, uh, this sets up the contrast in there still, and then remains is not really, Kuldakulat remains the only option. in language, which is not right. So yields questionable results. This is saying the opposite. So and then yeah, has all but disappeared. Doesn't sound right. So it has to be this guy. So that's good. All right, 26.
D.
Yeah, this is an easy one. These ones are not good. Redundant. It's not. This is redundant. So who is the right pronoun? All right, 27. This is the placing. Yeah, this one is a rhetorical one. I usually don't like these ones, but take a stab at it.
B.
B as in boy.
Mhm.
Okay, let's So these transition ones, let me see. So the word, what is this for saying? Data gathering proved to be quick part. So something about data gathering. That's something about it being quick part of the project. So transitioning to that. Let's see. If you put it after sentence 2. So after sentence 2, what is sentence 2? Sentence 2 says its fifth and final alphabetical volume, ending with Zydeco, released in 2012. The dictionary presents decades of arduous work. So it said decades of arduous work, so a lot of work. So this one says quick part, so it's kind of like the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not this guy. And then if you look at 3, for over a 6 period from 1965 to 1970, university students conducted interviews in more than 1,000 communities across the state. So 6 period over that's pretty fast, I guess. And then if you put it after that, but let's read the next sentence first. Sentence 4. Their goal was to determine what names used for such. So it's something about the previous sentence, right? Like the 4th sentence kind of talks about the previous sentence. So you can't really break 3 and 4. You have to put that together because it's saying something about their goal here. So this one is like kind of like, okay, these should go together. Maybe if you put something there, it'll interrupt it. So it's not after 3. Let's see if it's after 4. So if you look at number 4, so after they talk about their goal was to determine what names to use or how they conducted their interviews, blah 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 blah. And then so let's look at that. And if it goes after sentence 4, we have to check sentence 5. So sentence 5 says, if the sentence 5 still talks about data gathering or some interviews, we can't place it between 4 and 5. But let's see, the work that dictionary founder Frederick G. Cassidy had expected to be finished by 1970 was not, in fact, completed in his lifetime. So that one doesn't really it's not talking about the interviews, so it has to be that one. It has to be after sentence 4 or between 4 and 5. Does that one make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sentence 5. If you put it after sentence 5, it'll be too late already. So yeah, you just have to break it down and then kind of like look first, understand what this is saying, and then just look at the flow of the sentences. Okay. 28. Subject verb again. Okay.
No change.
Yep. Yeah. These ones are easy. I'm not gonna talk about it. Okay. 29. Okay. So this is a punctuation one.
Wait, absolutely no. D.
Yeah. So how come not a semicolon?
Because that one you can have a dependent clause after, I think.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So this one has to be both like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then this one can be this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then for what we have, it's this guy. The thing that comes after the vast array, there's no verb there. Thing completed, there's no predicate, so it has to be D. Okay, I think we'll make this one last 30.
B.
B as in boy.
Yep.
Okay, how come?
Because it's the only one that uses cite correctly, or the
Yep.
correct.
Yeah, that word right there. Yeah, everyone uses like the wrong one sometimes. Cite, and yeah. So it's this one because of this, and then I think also C and D uses the wrong preposition. So like for,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be of, not for. I think preposition ones. I think we'll cover that later on. So I'll talk about that. But yeah, besides the word, there's also this for that they're using instead of. Okay, I think that covers it. I mean that's most of it. You can just do the rest of them, and then right. Like there's only like a few more. I think we did like mostly a third of these guys. Cool. So for Thursday, I'll do the next couple of lectures for I think we'll do like the positive and then relative now clauses. And for homework wise, yeah, this is pretty much it. I'll send you the fifth one sometime on Wednesday.
Okay.
Cool. Aaron, thanks man.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good one.